Parceritos y parceritas, welcome to another episode of Classic Diez podcast. Today we are with one of my mates, with Justin from Sydney. He has an amazing collection, and we're going to talk about the Gunners and the Sydney FC. How you going, mate?
Yeah, doing really good, Juan. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty excited to have you here and talk about the Gunners now that the Premier League is so passionate at the moment with everything that happened. So let's do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad to be here.
Nice. Justin, let's start from the beginning. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Justin. You'll see from here at the back, the shirts behind me. I'm a football shirt collector. I'm from Sydney, Australia. I met Juan in Melbourne when I was popping down one time to attend a football shirt pop-up hosted by Tim Morley of the Football House. So yeah, I decided to come down for the day, or for the weekend actually, to Melbourne just to kind of take part in the event. I wasn't really selling anything, but I was there just kind of meet the people, meet the people of Melbourne who are into football shirts, because yeah, it's really nice to also be in an environment where I'm able to chat about these kinds of things in person, and also fun with yourself as well on this podcast. Just because there's not a lot of opportunity to do that in Sydney with my group of friends. They're not into football as much into football as I am. And none of them into shirts, and yeah, it's really kind of the help of the internet, and particularly with the Australian football shirt community, in which you can see some of the shirts behind me. That's kind of really grew my passion over the years.
Yeah, and like last week actually was a big pop-up in Brisbane as well from the guys of the ex-football and PFC as well. So I saw you there, and I saw like a lot of people. There was like a massive call, and very happy because actually the community is growing and growing, and that's very exciting for every one of us.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll introduce one of these shirts that I've got there from last week. Right now we're recording in around mid-February. I popped across the Brisbane pop-up held by ex-football last week. So yeah, another one of my one-day trips to interstate Australia to kind of take part in these events, because yeah, I think what our community has is really special. I want to play a part in it. I'm not necessarily selling anything. I'm just kind of more collecting and getting to know people. But I think it's a valuable experience nonetheless. If I can make it, then I'll go, sort of thing.
Yeah, it's very nice. It's very nice to like all these guys that have like a very big like background about soccer jerseys, etc., giving the opportunity to other ones to actually join and like do these pop-ups. Because look at the Football House, for example. He was like bringing everyone there and say like, come sell if you want to sell, share if you want to share, trade whatever you want. And it's very good because you actually met the people in the community and start to do like this kind of like friendships, but also like talking about shares all the time, etc. Last time, well, not last time, but one of the podcasts, I was with Arta for Ledger C, and he was saying like, you have an amazing collection, and I know that you have it because I saw you buying like a couple of the very good ones there. So tell me a little bit about what do you do in Sydney, etc.
Yeah, sure. So for my day-to-day, I'm a town planner in Sydney. I work for a private consulting firm. So I suppose, town planners, they look at the impacts of the built environment around them. So like your buildings, your high rises, your parks, and that sort of thing. So for my day-to-day, I'd be just looking at helping our clients, which are kind of builders and developers generally, and help them to kind of get planning approval for their buildings. So let's say hypothetically, if you want to build, I don't know, 5-story apartment block in, I don't know, Melbourne, Sydney, wherever, you need to get approval for that from somewhere. So generally that's from the council, but also it can be from state government or as well. Just kind of facilitate redevelopment and buildings in Sydney. That's my job. That's my day to day as well. But of course, this is one of my passionate hobbies. Something I like to do in my spare time. And yeah, as you mentioned, with of Arthur. He's a good friend of mine as well. And I met him kind of almost by accident through Facebook Marketplace, basically by accident. And yeah, he's turned into one of my very good friends in the football shirt circuit, and I've known him for about 2.5 years, which is it's a fair amount of time. But he lives pretty close to me as well, and yeah, we've got a really good relationship and friendship that's kind of going beyond football shirts as well, and that's something that's really good about this community. That's the relationships that you can have with people. As you get to know them more in this kind of niche following that we have.
Yeah, because it's also very specific. So we have like very like similar tastes, even though we have like, for example, a different clubs that like you like Arsenal, I like another one, but we're still like in the same niche. So it's very easy for us like to become very close each other. Well, now tell me a little bit why you become fan of Arsenal and Sydney.
Yeah, sure. So I think I'll start off with Sydney, because Sydney's I guess the obvious one. I live in the northern suburbs of Sydney. Actually, not too far away from where Sydney FC train. So I live probably about a 5 to 10 minute drive from their training ground. So that, I suppose, that was always a kind of natural inclination, desire for me to kind of follow a local team. And yeah, like even when Western Sydney Wanderers came along in 2012 or something like that, I don't really consider myself someone from Western Sydney. I live pretty close to what the dividing line is. I suppose some people call the Northern Train Line in Sydney the dividing line between Eastern and Western Sydney. But yeah, Sydney FC has kind of always been the one for me, and I think it's very important for football fans. I suppose football fans in general, going beyond shirts now, football fans to follow their local team, and in my opinion, that's Sydney FC. I've never really kind of wavered from that. Although I will have to say that the decision that the APL did in December last year has left a very sour taste in my mouth, I suppose, as a fan of Sydney FC, and also as a fan of Australian football in general. And yeah, right now I'm a little bit on edge as to how I'll kind of continue supporting the club. Because just because to a certain extent I feel like that the club's hierarchy, I won't say the club itself, the club's hierarchy, and the people governing the game have, in a sense, betrayed some of the fans, and Australian football in general by moving the 3 grand finals to Sydney without any, I suppose, stakeholder engagement or fan feedback. So yeah, it's whilst it's my local club, and whilst it's the one that I support, it does leave the club does leave a bit of a sour taste in my mouth for that. And yeah, so the relationship is probably a little bit more complicated, I suppose, even though it is kind of the natural local choice for me. Meanwhile, moving on to Arsenal as well. So Arsenal's a bit of a funny one. Quite literally, I started playing football in about 2004, and eventually that kind of shifted on to me kind of playing video games, like the FIFA football franchise as well. And quite literally, Arsenal was the default football team. It was the team that came up first, and then it had like 4.5 or 5 stars or something like that. And I thought, 4.5 or 5 stars, well, that seems pretty good. So I guess I'll make them my team in there. And then that was FIFA 08. FIFA 08 was kind of the first football game that I really got into. And then yeah, that was the likes of Van Persie, Fabregas, Eduardo, those guys. And in real life, Arsenal nearly won the league that season. But yeah, virtually I was kind of having a blast with them, playing the game, and yeah, that kind of translated into a love for them. So yeah, it's quite funny at how these things eventuate. It wasn't so much as a choice from it wasn't so much a choice given people that I knew or my parents or something like that. In fact, my parents don't even follow football. But yeah, it's just kind of some very organic, innocent thing that happened when I was around 10 years old, that kind of kept manifesting itself to today. So yeah, that's a story of how I came to support Sydney FC and also Arsenal Football Club as well. And I've got a couple of their shirts back up here that we can talk through shortly.
Nice. Yeah, funny that you connect Arsenal through the video games, but in our like childhood and teenage, it was very like we were very affected by these games because the video games was very small, but FIFA franchise and like Winning 11, they were like actually putting a lot of like nice stuff in developing your shirts, in like actually creating your team or playing with another team, but like actually having that interaction in the early 2000s with the players that you watch just in the TV, because also it was like for us it was like very hard to actually see them in the grounds because they were playing like football in England or in Spain or like in Europe in general, but we were very far to watching them. But you can also like play with them just with a control, so it was very easy to do. And also in those years, Arsenal was finishing like the greatest part of the story before going like down, and now again it's growing. So it's good for you to see like this end of the curve and then going down, but now you can clearly see how they are going up again and start to be one of the most interesting clubs in the new era. Let's talk about your idol, which is the player that you say like, oh, this guy just marked me when I was a child.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So of course, being an Arsenal fan and watching them, in the late 2000s, early 2010s, that person has to be Fabregas for me. Yeah, the young captain of Arsenal back then. In fact, I've got his shirt up here. Let me just give you quick second. Yeah. So Fabregas here, yeah, the number 4 jersey. This is from the 08-10 season. Yeah, which would have been, yeah, around when I started following them, around when I started watching them, illegal streaming them in the middle of the night, because yeah, it's tough being an Australian football fan, having to watch
Yeah.
the games super early in the morning as well. But yeah, just the way that he played, the way that he controls the game, the way that he slices neat little passes in behind for players like Walcott, Arshavin, Van Persie, Eduardo. Like I wanted to kind of base my game off him. Yeah, so and with myself being a relatively smaller, slighter player, I guess a similar build. Back then, yeah, I was never particularly fast or never particularly yeah, like or large or anything like that. I think though maybe those are some traits that I feel like Australian football kind of likes a bit more. Yeah, I tried to kind of base my game off him and kind of how he saw the game, and to play like someone that Arsene Wenger kind of grew and brought up in the Arsenal tradition. So yeah, that's yeah, that was my favorite player growing up. And yeah, I was also very sad when he went off to Barcelona in 2011. But of course, that's life, and football teaches us about life. Yeah,
Yeah.
and like how you say of Arsenal, the decline and the rise and that again, those are things that happen. Things that happen in life as well, and it just teaches us about how we can cope with and move on, and yeah, really reflect on things in life.
Yeah, and also on those years, like if Barcelona called you, no one say no because it was the best team in the entire world, unbeatable. Like it was so hard to say no. Also, they had the end of the Guardiola like period as well, and Guardiola like literally say I wanted that player. So it's very hard when you have like that like pretty much force you to go, and also because he came from the Masia, from like the actually young team of Barcelona, he has like so much feelings for that club. So it was a very hard move from Cesc because Fabregas was like growing so much the quality in Arsenal, mostly with Wenger and all that style that he put in those years in Arsenal. But it's so hard to say no to Barcelona, Even like in these years, still very hard for some players to say no to Barcelona when Barcelona is still having a lot of troubles. But those days, if Barcelona called you, you can't say no. It's
Yeah.
very hard to do it.
Yeah, 100%. And also, I suppose like, as an Arsenal fan as well, I felt it was a bit of a shame that that Fabregas just so happened to be in the same era as Xavi, Iniesta, Busquets, because those three, they were the main stalwarts of that central midfielder position. And yeah, like I remember Fabregas at times, particularly for Spain as well, he started playing false nine as well, just because of how how dominant those three midfielders were, the Spanish footballers were for Barcelona and for Spain as well. And yeah, and it was also a bit of a shame that he only stayed at Barcelona for 3 years, because I felt like that, as an Arsenal fan, that if he was going to go into Barcelona, that he would stay there for the rest of his career. But yeah, of course, again, that's not how things turn out. And of course, Guardiola left after, I think, only 1 or 2 seasons when he went as well. So yeah, and now Fabregas is playing City B with like Como. So yeah, again, like the player that I idolized growing up as a boy. He's now at the tail end of his career, and he's pushing very closely to retirement as well. So yeah, that's his story, and I'm just happy that I have one of his shirts here just to kind of remember that period of my life by. So yeah.
Yeah, and it was like the best Fabregas. I remember him like being so important for Arsenal, and still like super young. It's crazy. Look at that. It's nearly like 15 years, and he's still like playing it. Well, second division in Italy in Como, but still playing. You need to be like professional player to still doing that. So very, very talented and amazing player. What do you reckon about the Premier League? Who's gonna be the champion?
Yeah, so I watch Premier League probably the most out of the other leagues. I guess having Optus Sport in Australia and having the Premier League on there is probably a big part of that. Yeah, look, we're filming this at a time right now where Man City are top of the league from goal difference. Arsenal just having lost to them midweek and having not won their last 3 games. The momentum is with Manchester City now, but being an Arsenal fan right now, even though even we're not first at the moment, I find it hard to not to back them, because it's their best chance since 2016 properly, I suppose, that Leicester season, but also their best chance since 2008 or 2004 of winning the league. So like my heart has to say Arsenal, really, just because it's it would be something really, really special for us to see and to get behind the team. So I think we really have to kind of start believing now, because if it's not going to happen now, you don't really know when it's going to happen. So I think so I'm going to say Arsenal will win the league, although I might look back on this in about 3 to 4 months time, and I might not like it back then, but we'll see how we go.
Yeah, I think like you still being the favorites still, because you have one match less, so you can have still the 3 points difference, and you don't need to cross with Manchester City more. Both of the teams in European competitions, you are in Europa League, which is like supposed to be easier, but you play Thursdays, and Manchester City play Tuesdays or Wednesdays, which is like 1 day difference for the next match. So less rest. But yeah, I think this is the moment. Arteta, I don't know if you watch All or Nothing from Arsenal, I think it was like 2 years ago. It's clear how he put passion in the players, and like these 2 seasons of Arsenal, it's been like last season was very, very unfortunate to not qualify to the Champions League, because deserved 100%. And this season is like the proof of like actually what happened last year. It was just a mistake. This season we are like way more serious team, having pretty much all the same team that like last season. So I think I think Arsenal is gonna have the Premier League this year, and it's very deserved as well, because like it's been like an incredible first half of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I can't wait to see how the rest of the season ends up. With Manchester City back in European contention, as well as Arsenal as well. But I don't think it's the same Manchester City team that's been consistently winning for the last 5 leagues. I think it's a different side. There's a slightly different mentality there, and I hope Arsenal can take advantage of that.
Yeah, and also like Manchester City, all the pressure, it's gonna be Champions League, because they won 4 of 5 of the Premier Leagues, but 0 Champions Leagues still. So they have to put like all. If I am Guardiola and I know my team is tired, and I know I need to split the teams and put like extra like better players in one of the competitions, I would go for the Champions League, because it is one of my like always little points like negative that everyone is talking about me. I just go straight for the Champions League. I think I fail. Well, I try it as hard as I could. Well, talking about the A League, what do you reckon?
Yeah, look, Melbourne City right now, I think they're something like 8 points clear of 8 points clear of Central Coast Mariners at the moment. Yeah, I had them down as my favourites to win the league prior to the season starting. And I don't think that's gonna. I don't think that's gonna change. They've got the strongest squad in Australia at the moment. Like, it's a bit of a shame for Sydney FC. Have been top for so long as well. For basically most of the last 6-7 years, have been doing really well. But now we've dropped off a bit. But yeah, I think it's Melbourne City's. It's definitely Melbourne City's to lose from now on. I suppose. Yeah, both in the regular season, but also in the finals as well. Yeah, I think they've got it. The team's too good, and the distance between first and second is too great as well.
Yeah, I have to suffer then all the time because I support Victory, so they fucking smash
they're
us
bottom as well,
for like the last 2-3 years. It was just very hard to see them because they're growing so much, like Melbourne City and Victory. Even though they try to like hire people as nanny, like it's just bad luck. He has like a ACL injury this time, and it's gone. It's gone for the entire season, and I don't know if we're gonna see that back with the Melbourne Victory shirt. Well, let's talk about the Champions League and Europa League. What do you reckon? Which is your favorite?
Oh man. Okay, like admittedly, I don't watch too many leagues outside of the Premier League, so I may be talking out of my slightly out of it might be a bit of guesswork here. Not talking as part of my expertise there. But yeah, right now in my notes I've got Real Madrid ? Down there. Because I don't know. I really like their team. I really like how Benzema just keeps on pushing. Despite him being, I don't know, 34, 35, something like that. And I don't want a PSG or a Man City to win, basically. I don't want a PSG or a Man City to win. So but also that being said, the Champions League, it can't be anyone's game. If all it takes is for one game and for the crowd to get behind them as well, to really swing things. And I think they might just have enough quality to pull through, because I'm not entirely sure if anyone else really has that quality. To take out Real Madrid.
Yeah, we have to play this quick against Liverpool. The first fixture is going to be very difficult, but Liverpool, it's full injuries there, and we have some injuries like Real Madrid, but yeah, last year, to be honest, I've been a fan of Real Madrid for a really long time, but last year what happened, it was just incredible. I didn't expect that, but how they turned the games in the last minutes of every second fixture, like it was just incredible. Like the Chelsea's, the Manchester City's, just blow my mind, and shows how difficult it is to play against that team, mostly in the Bernabeu. Yeah.
So I think ask me for Europa League as well. I'm just gonna quickly say Manchester United. Just because after the World Cup they've been back them absolutely on fire. Now this is pending their result against Barcelona, because I know right now they're on 2-2. The result's 2-2 at the moment. So Barcelona could win. Barcelona could bring their La Liga form and beat them. And I'll be completely wrong again. But honestly, I reckon if Manchester United had kept their post World Cup form throughout the entire season, they would be contending for the title right now, and it would have been a 3-way race. And I also don't think. I think Arsenal would look. I think the club will have to prioritize Premier League. I don't think they'll this opportunity is too much to pass up for them. I don't think they'll go for the Europa League. But I think So I'm just gonna say Manchester United. Again, as someone who doesn't particularly watch continental football that much, but I think I'm just thinking, if they just kept their post World Cup form in for the whole season, they could win something, and I think this is something that they could win.
Yeah, and also we have to remember that Europa League, the champion, have one extra position to go to the Champions League, which is very important at the end of the season, because many of the teams arrived to the end of the season with no many chances to qualify through the leagues. So last
Absolutely.
year, I think it was the Mourinho era of like Manchester United, they won the Europa League because they were so on there in the Premier League. So they have like all the bullets in the Europa League, and they did it. So yeah, it's gonna be like very tough. But I think like Manchester United has been like incredible, mostly like Rashford, just so high level and very unexpected, because everything that happened with Cristiano Ronaldo is actually helping the team. So it
Yes.
proved the good decision of like saying, fuck off, go to another
Yes,
place.
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, now let's talk about your collection. Let's talk about your shirts.
Yep.
Do you
Gonna
have a
shift over
number?
here.
How many shirts do you have in your collection?
Yeah, look, okay, so a couple of years ago, I did an actual stock take of my shirts, and I got to around 150. This was probably around 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I reckon right now I'm probably at 300 plus. I haven't gone, yeah, 300, yeah, 300 plus. Yeah, I haven't done a very detailed count as of yet, but I think it's definitely getting to that number. Yeah, just given the amount of time that's been since the last one, and the rapid amount of boxes that are starting to pile up in my room as well. Yeah, I definitely think I'm arriving close to that number. So yeah. I also think that the collection is kind of beginning to slow down a bit, because I think during COVID it started to really pick up, but I think I've kind of slowed it down a little bit recently. But yeah, I think we're around the 300 plus mark there. I've been collecting seriously for about 3 years, since just before COVID, really, around the beginning of 2020, before all the lockdown started, but also casually for another 3 years before that. So I think my collection was already met maybe around 40 or 50, in before COVID. So yeah, I think that's a pretty accurate number as to where it's at the moment.
So multiply like 6 times in 3 years, in less than 3 years. But
Yeah, yeah,
also
yeah.
we have to remember that everyone had like a big opportunities during COVID. Like what happened on the lockdowns and everything. Many people start to sell the shirts. So for us, it was like a festin. It was like, what? This. I remember like I bought a lot of them as well. So yeah, very cool.
Mm.
Do you have any preference between retros and modern shirts?
Look, I think both of them kind of serve different functions, I guess. Yeah, so obviously the retro ones, for me, it's more of a chance to embrace and remember history, and kind of and what happened in the past, and also just really go back to the really eclectic and interesting designs, particularly the 1990s, when I felt like that artists really had a lot more creative license to kind of to develop their designs without too much interference from maybe football authorities that might require certain colors to go a particular way, or certain patterns to kind of be muted, be muted down a bit. Yeah, and meanwhile, more modern shirts. Obviously, the technology's gotten a lot better, and you're actually able to play in them quite comfortably a fair bit now. Like for example, right now I got my Socceroos 2022 World Cup home shirt here. It's a dry fit advanced one, so that's the player edition one, and yeah, like the material is like really nice, really cool to play with, and this is what I wore last week to Brisbane when it was like 36, 37 degrees, and humidity was through the roof as well. So I thought when I got out of bed that day that I really needed something like this, and not something like a 90s,
Yeah,
shirt to bathe and sweat in all day. And
like
yeah, it's nice to play, and also it's to remember kind of the recent. Remember the recent memories, right? Like so, for example, here I've got Craig Goodwin on the front here, number
yeah,
23.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's just to remember his remarkable contribution, in the World Cup. Of course, like scoring the first goal against France, putting in the deflected cross for Mitch Duke to score against Tunisia, and having the deflected shot against Argentina. Like there's the moments. These are three moments that you'll never take away from any Australian football fan, and it's just really nice to for these modern shirts anyway, to be able to have them and just to remember the times in which this shirt was everything, So
Yeah.
that's So I don't really have a preference towards one. They both kind of serve different functions for me. But yeah, they're cool to collect and to wear all the same, just for those different reasons.
Yeah, you were talking about Woodwell, and I was actually to ask you the next one about that. Do you prefer a shirt with a name set, or doesn't matter for you?
Look, I think I would lean towards having a shirt with a name set, but that also to a certain extent depends as well, because when you get to shirts that are like 20, 30 years old, they become really difficult to maintain over time. So like yeah, so my shirt collection here, you've got shirts with name sets, shirts without name sets, and yeah, like I think if it's a newer shirt, I like having a name set. But if it's an older shirt, I'm happy just to not have one. If it means it's easier to kind of maintain and to wear the shirt. Yeah, because sometimes it can get a little bit dicey, and you need to really kind of take care of your shirts if you're to maintain the name set as well, because that's just another thing that you'll need to worry about when you wear and when you wash and when you store the shirt as well.
Yeah. Do you wear your shirts frequently?
So yeah. So I wear the vast majority of my shirts out, or I would like to anyway. Given that I'm on basically, I've got about one shirt for every day of the year. It really does get a little bit hard
Yes.
at that range. But yeah, like yeah, I really like kind of wearing my shirts out. Yeah, it's just a way that I can express myself and the love of football I have generally. Yeah, I've got a whole bunch of different different shirts from different teams and different eras and all that. Just kind of just to remember the players and the times, and the memories that we have of those particular from those particular shirts.
Yeah, very nice. Do you have any team that has like the majority of your collection?
Look, I wouldn't say the majority, just because I've got so many shirts. But I think the team that I've got the most would be Arsenal.
Okay.
I would say, like, I feel like I have probably around 80% of all their Nike era shirts. So their
Okay.
shirts from around 1994 to 2014. So
Mhm.
that 20-year period, I probably have about 80% of all their shirts. There's a few that are missing, such as the gold O2
Yeah,
shirt from
difficult.
when we won the league in 2000 and from around 2001, 2002, somewhere around there. But yeah, and like there's some like other shirt stuff in and around there that I don't have. But yeah, definitely. I'd say definitely. I've got the most. I've got a lot of Arsenal shirts, and they range from this Bruised Banana one that I've got here from the very early '90s, all the way up to I've got a Martin Odegaard one from the third kit from this season that I might whip out eventually to show. But yeah, I've got that one, which is one of my more recent purchases. So yeah.
Nice. And which do you reckon is your favorite shirt in your collection?
Goodness me. So yeah, I just have to bring up this Fabregas one again, I suppose. Yeah, because
Okay.
like this 08 to 10 Arsenal shirt was the first football shirt I ever had. So not this shirt exactly, but like this like this shirt my dad bought me when I was probably 13, 14 years old. When I first started watching the club, and yeah,
Mhm.
and Fabregas of course was my favorite player. So yeah, when I got the chance to kind of have this shirt again, this time with the Fabregas name set on the back, a couple of years ago, yeah, I just had to jump on it. So this is probably my favorite shirt, just because it's really the shirt that kind of started my style of football in general. I wouldn't say football shirt collection in general, because there were probably about 10 years in my life that I wasn't collecting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd probably say that one.
Okay. Which is the last shirt that you bought?
Yeah, so the last shirt that I bought is probably still in transit. It's probably still in
Okay.
transit, and it's a bit annoying too, because I received a notification yesterday that that one of my parcels was at the post office ready for me to pick up, and I can't pick it up until Monday. So it's probably and I bought it. It's at the post office right now. But yeah, so it's a Southampton 2022/23. So this season, it's their away shirt with like the waves and everything,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I've
it's very
got one
cool.
James Ward-Prowse on the back. Yeah, just because in my spare time, I like going down to the park, taking free kicks. Yeah, if you spied my private Instagram, if you know me, you might have seen me and my friends kind of taking free kicks for fun at the park. That's just something we started doing a fair bit of during COVID when we had a lot of time. Yeah, that's probably my most recent one that I bought. The most recent one that I bought that I have here is probably that Odegaard shirt. Is just back here Yeah, so here got the third
Oh
shirt.
yes,
Yeah, so it's
beautiful.
the third shirt. Yeah, so because of how well Arsenal are doing right now, it is very rare. You can't find their shirts anywhere. So yeah, this shirt is in play issue. Very few in stock of that one when I was looking. So yeah, this is my most recent shirt that I purchased that I have with me right now. So yeah, I can't wait to take this
Beautiful.
out for a spin when I play one like in the next week or so. Yeah, so hopefully I'll be able to wear that very soon.
Very cool. Very nice. Love Odegaard, like super developed talent in Arsenal. Like in Real Madrid, it was I don't know. I think he didn't have enough opportunities, and also he was not playing in the way that Arsenal play. That is very good for all his talent. Skillful, incredible what he did in the last 2 years with Arsenal. Justin, which is the share that's been like more difficult for you to find? Because you say you have like 80% of the collection of the Arsenal, so I guess one of those ones probably could be.
So yeah, one of those ones could be. I suppose I'm not too concerned about filling out the rest of my Arsenal collection. I feel pretty okay with where it is at the moment. I don't have any burning desire to complete the rest. I might do one day, but maybe not. One thing that I really do want to find is the Germany 1990 home shirt.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's so difficult.
the one that was kind of remade a bit in 2018, the ones that like
Uh-huh.
the
Yeah.
lines across and like the triangles in there. I saw it last week in the Brisbane pop up, and I asked the guy where he got it from, and apparently he got it from a gift from his dad or something like that. So yeah, that's really good for him. But yeah, like yeah, so I wanted to find it for a while now. And yeah, for me, it's a matter of pricing really, as it is for every other football shirt. Like everything is out there. However, it just depends at the price that you want to buy it for, and whether or not if it's a good deal or not. Yeah, like for example, here, the Bruce Banana, like there's a lot out there. You just need to. It's just depending on the price that is kind of palatable or acceptable for you to buy at. So yeah, I'm just kind of waiting for my opportunity to come along for that one. So I guess that Germany 1990 home jersey.
Yeah, it's very expensive shirts. That's the problem, and depends. Like you might can have a chance to find it cheap, but you need to just wait for the opportunity. And yeah, that's the problem with those. Like the Bruce Banana as well. It's like, as you say, you can find it, but you need to pay, and it's quite a lot of money.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
for that. But yeah, the 90 is beautiful. I really wanted the Colombia's 90, the red
Mm-hmm.
one. It's been very difficult. I actually haven't find it in like anywhere. I don't know. It's just very difficult and very expensive as well. But yeah,
Yeah, of course.
that's one of the ones that I really want, and not look for now. Okay, let's talk about like prices ish.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the most expensive shirt that you have in your collection?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, like I don't exactly go out of my way to buy, really expensive shirts. Yeah, usually, like pricing is a fairly important factor for me. But I would say either like I can't entirely remember how much I got them for, but like either the Bruised Banana here, or I've also got a USSR shirt from here as well. That are probably the more expensive ones. Yeah, so the Bruised Banana. It's funny, how I was saying earlier that yeah, like prices often restricted for them. Quite literally, I spent 2 of my collecting years, not being able to find one, and then in 1 week I find 2 of them at a fairly acceptable price. One of which was some classic football shirts. So yeah, I think I got the classic football shirt one. It's not in perfect condition. There's a couple of like marks around the sponsor, but it's still it's in fairly good nick considering it's 30 years old. I think that would have been around like the $300 mark, maybe a little bit more expensive than that, but around the $300 mark. And for me, that's okay because like often you can go upwards of 450, 500 for those ones, and yeah, I felt like that was a pretty good deal. So I think Football Shirt Gallery, Gianluca, hit me up with one of those ones. He sometimes he's got some really really good deals for his shop, and yeah, I got the other one of classic football shirts, and this one here as well. I got this one maybe in around 2021, beginning of 2021. Yeah. Also from Gianluca as well. I think I paid around 240 for this shirt. But yeah, obviously, like with the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and kind of
Yeah,
all that, it's become a little bit persona non
tricky.
grata, like non palatable to be able to kind of wear these shirts out, like that particular shirt out in public, just because it's because yeah, like no one likes Russia particularly much, and for very good reason. So yeah, like even though I say I'll wear all my shirts out, those are probably ones I need to hang on to for a little bit longer, and to yeah, really kind of show restraint as to when and where I wear them out.
Nice. Yeah, I met Jean-Luc as well in the pop-up here in Melbourne, and he has an crazy collection. Well, both of the guys, of Milan. Such a nice shirt. Many like
Yeah,
player issues for the 2000s, which is like I never saw it in my life, and I have the opportunity to watch, to see them with him. Crazy, crazy, crazy shirts. Very nice. Yeah, cool. That one from the Soviet Union is crazy. Yeah, bad days now to use it, but that's one of the most difficult shares to find, and one of the most expensive as well. So that one, the Netherlands 88, it's like
yeah,
supposed to be in the same level. So the price that you
yeah.
bought is like very good one, because
So
I, I
yeah.
see it for 700, for example.
So yeah, he was putting like I saw him put up one for 200, and I wanted for my friend to get on that like ASAP, but he never pulled the trigger, and he's kind of regretting it now. But yeah, I saw that for 200. He was selling it for 200, and yeah, that is an excellent deal by any sense of the word. And yeah, he hooked me up with that one as well. So yeah, Gianluca is another really good mate of mine in that football show community, and yeah, like, that's one that he helped set me up with.
Many kids, yeah. Yeah, the thing is like it's very difficult to pay $200 now, like straight away. But if you consider that jersey is like pretty much nowhere in the world, it's a very good deal. And if you find it, it's gonna be like double price easily. So
Mm.
that's the main problem of like those two specific jerseys that you have, the Arsenal or the Soviet Union.
Mm-hmm.
Well, which is the cheapest jersey that you have at the moment? Like that you bought?
Yeah. Yeah, like it's a bit funny. Like, I was thinking about that kind of when you asked me, and like I'm not entirely sure if I've got I've got an answer for that. Like it's one of my Arsenal ones. I got like a 2015-16 Arsenal one, like Ozil on the back that I found on Facebook Marketplace for like $20. But also I've got like another one here though, that I'll show you. It's not necessarily one that I bought, but it's just so I don't know, it's a bit like kind of the strangest thing in the community, right? So it's this Barcelona 2011-12 home shirt. So it's the same thing. The Fabregas moved away to Barcelona, and quite literally, I got a couple of shirts from a guy, paid I don't know, maybe 100, 120 for maybe two shirts. And then that one rocks up as well. And I thought he's put in, I thought he was in there by accident. I thought he put in there by accident because he didn't tell me about it. And then he was like, oh, I liked him. Oh, hey, you put, was this shirt supposed to be here? Because I didn't buy this one. And he's like, oh, no, I just gave it to you. So I'm like, oh, sweet. But the funny thing is, like, I already have one of that shirt already. So I have two of those shirts now. But like, yeah. So like, yeah, that's, I didn't necessarily buy that one, but yeah, it's just like a random gift from a stranger. Probably because he couldn't find any other way to get rid of it. But yeah, it's a bit unfortunate I have that one already. And yeah, like yeah, I'm not so much into selling at the moment, but like yeah, if it's like I'm probably am open to selling or giving that away eventually as well. Just because yeah, I don't really need it. Again, I got the one I got because it was Fabregas' first season of Arsenal, and I really like the guy. So yeah, that's kind of why I had the shirt in the first place.
Yeah, you can put in one Fabregas in the back, and in the other one
Mm,
Alexis Sanchez.
mm.
Do you have any shirt that you regret about like give it away, sell it, or something like that?
Yeah. Uh, it's might not necessarily. I think there's a whole general category. Okay, very broadly, very broadly. It's kind of any shirt in like because let's just say a lot of us gained some weight over COVID, right? I did, I definitely gained some weight over COVID, and that meant that kind of all the sizes that all the larger shirts that I had, that I kind of didn't go through with or I sold kind of before that period that I happen to fit now that yeah, I just kind of gave away all that I sold. Generally, this is in general, right? So I'll say if I had a large or an XL or something like that, and if I was still fitting a small or medium, then I'll just give it away. So yeah, that happened to me. I remember I had like an Arsenal 14-15 Rosicki shirt, home shirt. Yeah, that I had an XL, didn't fit an XL, didn't think I would in a million years. I got it actually, yeah, I got it as a gift actually in 2015 ish. And yeah, so I had that one. I gave it away. Or I sold. I can't remember. And then years down the track, like I ended up on rebuying. I just so happened to find the same shirt, but in a
Yeah, of
large from place
course.
on place. I bought it back, but it's like, but now I like having a bit more loose fitting shirts, and now I've gotten gained a bit of weight over COVID as well. So yeah, like now all the XL, all the XL stuff kind of fits me now, and yeah, I kind of regret. Um, yeah, kind of regret giving that away. And also remember, I received as another gift as well, an Arsenal 08-09 away shirt from one of my aunts back in the day. I still have that shirt, but like like back when I was a little bit smaller, like had less of a tummy, post COVID, so pre COVID, I got that one tailored a bit, so I kind of had like the like it shortened a little bit on the length.
Hmm.
And yeah, like it's not a huge thing, but like and now I can definitely kind of see that difference a lot more than I used to, right?
Yeah.
Like the length difference a bit more than I used to. So it's like, yeah, I kind of wish that I didn't take up that, like go to the tailor and get that taken up like a couple of centimeters, because now I notice it. Now that I put on a bit more kind of middle age weight, not middle weight,
Mhm.
like quarter life crisis weight. But like
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I guess like those are the little things that it's like, yeah, I got them done because back then I didn't think this would happen, but yeah, this happened, and now I don't wear them as much, unfortunately, because of the alterations that I did to them, or the fact that I gave them away.
Yeah. Well, very unfortunate. And do you have any regret about one share that you were very close to buy, but at the end you say like, no, I'm gonna pass this time, and you definitely could like buy that shirt?
Yep. Yeah, definitely. Obviously, I don't have it with me because
Yeah.
I don't. I didn't end up getting it. But yeah, it's really funny. So I'm not sure if you've met Ryan Cheng. Ryan is my name on Instagram. He was at the Melbourne,
Yeah,
Sims
no.
pop up. He was the guy doing guest the Panini stuff,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah, so I got acquainted with him there. And he was the guy that ended up buying the shirt that I wanted, and the shirt in question was like a New York Metro Stars shirt from the '90s. I can't remember if it was a home or away, but like back then, like the MLS just had incredible designs, and Paul Blake from PSC Vintage, he was selling it. But yeah, is that a price that I didn't particularly want to pay it. I think it was around 240 when he initially listed up. So at the time I was like 240, nah. And then he took it down to 220. I was still following it, and I was like 220, probably not as well. And then it got around to the time when he was doing like a Boxing Day sale pop up, and then he was like, oh yeah, if you come in person, you get 20% off everything. And I was thinking to myself like, if this doesn't sell, I'm 100% gotta go and buy the shirt. Because like yeah, once you take off 20% on top of 220, it becomes a fair, much more palatable in my opinion for like yeah, for what I thought for what I thought would be a good price to get it for. And then yeah, like day after Boxing Day when he put all the shirts back up, I couldn't find it, so I assumed it sold. And then I saw on social media that Ryan Cheng that just, like bought the shirt, and it's like, oh, thank you, PFC Vintage for the hookup. And I was like, oh damn, he bought the shirt. And it wasn't even the first time too, because actually now that I explained this story, it was another PFC pop up. Paul came to Sydney in March last year, and I was looking at like the Drake Juventus Jeep shirt on the front, right? Yeah, so he had that one selling for around $200, and I remember going through his racks the first time, and then like having mental notes. Of, I need to go back and look at that again. And then yeah, I went back there again second time, like maybe an hour later, and it wasn't there anymore. And I thought, oh, someone bought it, like whatever. That's life, someone buys it,
Mhm.
that's life. And then yeah, like Ryan posted on his story saying like, oh, thanks for the hookup. And then yeah, so quite literally, like there's two of his shirts now that like I was looking at, and then Ryan goes and buys them, before I get the chance to pull the trigger on it. But it's funny too because yeah, so I'm pretty good mates I'm pretty good mates with Paul. You know, we chat a fair bit. Yeah, we chat a fair bit, like and stuff. And last night, so not last night, last week, it was very kind of him. You know, we helped pack up like the Brisbane pop up together and stuff like that. And then he invited me out with his family kind of immediately afterwards, which is very nice of him. You know, to pop back to his hotel and just to have a drink there. And then I told him the story about the New York Metro Stars shirt. And then like, because I thought that, you know, like because we're good mates, I felt like I would be able to ask him, you know, or hey, you know, would I be able to get this shirt for the Boxing Day price or whatever? I felt like I would be able to ask that, and he would be able to do it for me. But I'm also like, you know, I don't like pushing the friendship, you know. I don't like pushing the friendship. I like to, you know, respect what he's doing and to kind of go through proper processes for him. I don't really like, you know, it's like he's been very generous to me before and kind of giving me like nice discounts on his stuff. But like, you know, I don't go out of my way looking for them or anything. And I would have felt weird if I asked him about it. So yeah, like. But yeah, like, you know, ultimately, you know, life's more important than football shirts. You know, it's much more important for me to have, you know, good relationships with people in the community, even if that means missing out on a couple of shirts. You know, at the end of the day, football shirts are football shirts. You know, like, you know, relationships are a lot more important than that. And yeah, I'm just thankful to have so many good relationships with people. You know, like yourself, like Paul, like Ryan. You know, in the community that, you know, that yeah, like there's mutual respect. There's mutual respect everywhere, and yeah, like, you know, I don't like pushing the boundaries for that, because in case, like, you know, that jeopardizes any of that. But yeah, like, you know, yeah, football shirts are football shirts. People are people, and people are way more important than that. So than shirts. So there you go.
Paul might watch this video and then he will say like, oh, I'm gonna give the discount to him. And Ryan, twice. Come on, mate. Stop,
Yeah.
Ryan. No more. No, but Ryan is another like big collector and big like football fan, and all that he does is very funny as well. So well, not much to do. Do you reckon that was one of your best anecdotes, or do you have another one that you can say like, oh, this one was the best?
Yeah,
With a
yeah,
football
like, yeah,
shirt,
because,
obviously.
so yeah, because, like, you know, like, yeah, football shirts kind of like it opens the door to kind of having discussions with other people about football. And I have a couple of and like, when you talk about anecdotes, I've got shorter ones and I've got longer ones. Well, and some of the shorter ones is just about, like, you know, they're of course, as an Arsenal fan, you know, I don't have my rival shirts. I don't have Chelsea's. I don't have Man United's. I don't have Spurs. But I don't dislike Liverpool as much as I dislike other teams. So like, I have a couple of Liverpool shirts out there, and yeah, I've really been turned off wearing them out in public. I probably really shouldn't wear them in public because I'm an Arsenal fan. But like, whenever I wear a Liverpool shirt out in public, which is very rare nowadays, like, you know, like really like once a year, if not less, then I always get catcalled out in public for some reason. Like, you know, people would just yell stuff out of their cars, or like people would just come past making comments and stuff like that. And like, every time it happens, every time I wear a Liverpool shirt out, so I don't want to wear a Liverpool shirt anymore. But yeah, that's so like, yeah, that's, I suppose, like, you know, when like people come up and start making random comments, that's a bit weird. But like, I think maybe a better anecdote is like, one time I was in Melbourne. I might have been, look, I can't remember like when I was out in Melbourne for. It might have been the time when I was there in November, maybe. I was just there for a couple of days on holiday. Yeah, I was wearing an Arsenal 90s kit. It was one of those yellow ones. I can't remember what year. Maybe like the 96, 97 away or something like that. But yeah, like, yeah, just someone came up and was like, oh, hey, again, he's like to me, oh, hey, that's a really nice shirt. And then he asked me, is it genuine? And it's like, oh yeah, like, you know, it's genuine. I got it from, you know, I think I got them off Paul again. So like, there you go. I buy a fair amount of stuff from him. But like, yeah, we just ended up having like a really nice chat about yeah, the football shirts and how Arsenal were going. And actually, come to think of it, it probably was in November, because, you know, because Arsenal were doing well at the time, and yeah, that was the only time during the season that I've been to Melbourne apart from December. So yeah, like, you know, it was just a really nice, pleasant chat that they had about football. Toy talked about for about 5 minutes, just in the city randomly, and then yeah, like, you know, it had to stop because he had to go back and work. But yeah, that was like a really nice, pleasant chat with him. Yeah, and also like, I try and if someone has like a rare shirt out and in public, and I see them or something, I usually try and have a chat with them, just seeing where they got it from and stuff like that. Like, someone had a Brentford shirt out with Ericsson on the back, so it would have been last season. So I asked him where he got that from, and apparently you can only get Brentford shirts from the club shop. So yeah, I don't know. It's just little anecdotes about that, how it kind of opens the door to kind of chat to people and stuff like that. So I think those are the things that I kind of enjoy.
Yeah, it's very nice to talk with people that you cross in the streets about like just what you're wearing, because like it's just very nice for us to see people actually wearing soccer jerseys. That's what I think.
Mhm.
It called me so much attention as well. Or I'm with my girlfriend and I'm like, look, he's wearing Arsenal 2002. But my girlfriend is like,
Yeah.
what do you mean? And I was like, do you know what you mean? You know, it's just like
Yeah,
for us, it's like, oh, actually, someone have it.
yeah. I do the same thing with my girlfriend as well. Like, you know, when we're out and I see a shirt, I'd like to. Oh, what team do you think that is? And then I'll kind
Yeah.
of get her to like I get her to like maybe like look at the shirt. If it's like a home shirt, then she might be able to recognize the color or the pattern or something like that. Or if it's an away shirt, she might need to like look at the crest a little bit closely. But I always like I always like just give her a quick poke and be like, oh hey, like what's that shirt? And then sometimes she has a habit of like saying the answer really loudly, so that so like hopefully the person like wearing it won't be able to hear that we're talking about them. But like, sometimes it's funny when that happens, when she's really excited to get the answer and then she like yells it out really loudly about thinking that like, oh, like wait, the other person doesn't know that we're talking about them.
Yeah, true. Well, Justin, we arrived to the surprise section of the podcast. It's just three of them. The first one is very easy. It's just like I'm gonna like just throw you some names and just the first word that come to your mind or like sentence max, just say
Yep.
it. Okay. So the first one is this: Thierry Henry.
Thierry Henry. Oh wow. Thierry Henry. First thing that comes to my mind is that his run and his goal against Tottenham. So the one where he basically picks up the ball in the halfway line and just runs through like 3 or 4 defenders and pops it into the back of the net. Like, just the hybrid, the Thierry Henry and hybrid, just things that you have to go together.
Yeah. What about this one? Aubameyang.
Aubameyang. Oh man. His goal when he tapped it in against Leicester City itself, set up by Mesut Ozil, and also his front flip celebration.
Okay. What about Tottenham Hotspurs?
Tottenham Hotspur. I suppose specialties and failure. I suppose. I just think of the time when quite literally they were competing with Leicester City for the title in 2015-16, and all they needed to do was to beat relegated Newcastle on the final day, and they lost 5-1, and Arsenal won, and Arsenal ended up coming second, and Tottenham ended up coming third in a 2-horse race.
Yeah. What about Alessandro Del Piero?
Del Piero. Oh, that's that. I think his free kick on his debut was on his home debut or something like that. I think it was against Newcastle. Like I don't really watch Serie A, so like I can't really say too much for his time in Italy. But like quite literally, he brought so much attention to the league, and he oozed class when he was here. So I think his goal against his first free kick goal, putting it into the top left corner is what I remember from him.
Okay. What about Dwight York?
Dwight York. Oh man. Funnily enough, like I should say Sydney FC, but like I honestly was a bit young back then. So I think you'll have to be when he got sacked from MacArthur. For apparently making comments about them not being a particularly professional club. I can't remember what he said, but like, look, and it's not a very pleasant. It wouldn't have been a very pleasant experience for Dwight York, nonetheless. But like, I think but you asked for the first thing that came to my head. That's the first thing that came into my head because he was a manager of MacArthur FC until very recently, until he got sacked for making some, for having some choice words over the club and its management.
Okay. And what about Adebayor?
Adebayor, oh goodness me. Oh man, like, so many mixed feelings about him. Like, I know ultimately we'll see him as a trader, and from his celebration for playing against Arsenal for Man City will kind of show that. But he also gave us many moments as well. I remember his bicycle kick against Villarreal in the Champions League in 2009. That's one of the good memories I'll have from him. I remember watching that like in the very early morning here in Australia, and I was going off my chair. It was insane. But like ultimately we'll see him as a trader, but like he also gave us some great moments as well.
Okay. Now we're gonna do like another section, and the section is just you need to choose between one of the other one. Yeah, so
Yep.
two options. The first
Yep.
one is which one of these coaches do you reckon it has better decisions quality in one, like in the entire, not entire period, but in one season, just in one season thing. Arteta or Wenger?
Arteta or Wenger. Are we talking about like when we're talking about in one season? Are we talking about like in this season, or in any season where they perform the best?
Yeah, but you cannot compare like the entire timeline because obviously Wenger has been for ages. It's more like one season entire. Which one of these coaches has been like better coach or taking better decisions?
Okay. Yeah, got it. Yeah, got it. Yeah. Arsene Wenger. Just the way that he's really kind of modernized the football, modernized how we see football. Particularly in England, and bringing those ideas. Yeah, like there's no, I don't think there's any other coach that you can see that has done so much for one club and came from relative obscurity as well, and to revolutionize so much in such a short period of time. So yeah, I think Arsene Wenger, particularly in the late 1990s and early 2000s, that takes it for me.
Okay. Which of these two players do you reckon has been more important for the team, for the club, etc.? We're talking nowadays, right? So the past seasons that they've been. Saka or Odegaard?
Oh man, Saka or Odegaard. Look, I think Saka. I think Saka, just because of kind of what he represents as an academy player, coming up through the system, playing in a position that he didn't he was playing at left back for like during the 1920 seasons as well, and then kind of really finding his feet as a right winger, being selected for England, unfortunately missing a penalty against Italy, but really being able to take the team up by the scruff of the neck, replacing Nicola Pepe in 2020, and kind of really kind of going from there. It's a tough decision, man. But and because Odegaard, I think Odegaard is a bit more of a player in like the Fabregas mold, which I've always admired. But I think I think Saka, just because of like kind of what he represents to Arsenal Football Club. I think he's just better in that respect.
Okay, this one is going to be very easy for you. Fabregas or Vieira?
Oh right, yeah, no, Fabregas all the way. Fabregas, yeah. I mean, with that being said, I've watched a lot more Fabregas than I did of Vieira. Vieira was largely before my time when I started watching. But just because Fabregas is I think he's just done so much for me, just for me and my appreciation of the game. Over the years, like he really symbolized like what Arsene Wenger was particularly about, particularly in like the post Invincibles era. And the style of play, and like the emphasis on youth and their development as well. He'll always take it for me. Of course, even though Vieira has, of course, got more storied history behind Arsenal, being their captain for
Invincibles.
Exactly. Yeah, Invincibles, and kind of coming up through that period. But Fabregas will take it for me, just because just because of what he means to me as a player for Arsenal.
Okay. What about these ones? Two goalkeepers. Which do you reckon is better, Ramsdale or Seaman?
Oh, look, I'm not too sure about this question, because Seaman was before my time. Seaman was well before my time. I'm gonna have to go with Seaman, just because of what he's achieved with Arsenal in that period, just in the early period of before Jens Lehmann, and what he's done. I think Ramsdale has a fair bit to go on that to get anywhere near his level. Just with all the individual and the team accolades that Seaman's won, just would edge that for me. But Ramsdale, look, he's been there for what, 2 seasons? He's yet to prove his worth. No doubt he's very important to the team right now, but he's not an Arsenal legend, not yet.
Okay, but if he win it, he can start to be. One of
Oh
them.
yeah. I think it starts to be in the conversation, but yeah, still
Yeah.
Seaman's got multiple trophies on him at the moment.
Yeah, of
And
course.
he's part of a team that right now has a lot more like backing in terms of like the number of trophies and accolades.
True. And the last one, which do you reckon was more painful for Arsenal? Van Persie when he moved to Manchester United, or Sanchez when he moved to Manchester United?
Van Persie. Van Persie went a long way, in my opinion. Just because look, like Van Persie was our captain at the time. He scored 30 goals just in the league the season before. He said that it was like the little kid in him was crying out for Manchester United or something like that. And of course, like no doubt, like playing for Sir Alex Ferguson would have been fantastic to do back then. But yeah, like saying that as captain, as top goal scorer, like I know that Arsenal weren't necessarily in a position to win titles at that stage, but like it's I think it hurts a lot more to hear coming from a captain, someone from a top scorer, than it was for Alexis Sanchez. And of course, Sanchez really kind of went off a cliff when he went to Manchester United. I think he only scored
nothing. It
he
was
scored
very
like
bad.
low single digits in goals when he left. So yeah, and also he was of course a great goal scorer. I think it was top goal scorer for us as well. But like again, we were able to replace him for Aubameyang. He flopped, and ultimately I think Arsenal got a fairly good deal out of it, considering his contract had 6 months remaining. In the sense that we had another player that came into our first team in Henrik Mkhitaryan. Now, of course, he didn't do as much, but I think Mkhitaryan did more for Arsenal than Sanchez ever did for Manchester United.
True. Okay, and we're off to the last one, the last part of the podcast, and it's just a trivia with soccer shirts. So
yeah, sure.
I want to show you some soccer shirts.
Yes.
Just I need that you give me an answer of this. So this shirt, which season is from?
This one is the 0506 or Arsenal 0506 away. That is
Yes.
so that's the year that we lost the Champions League final to Barcelona, which again, it's like I feel weird saying this. It's before my time in the sense of before I started watching Arsenal. But yeah, like you can distinct, and not a lot of people know about this one, but there's the one afterwards is in the same template but has the Fly Emirates sponsor.
It's different,
that, that Van Persie scored his volley against Charlton Athletic. Not a lot of people know about the 0607 one, but yeah, that's definitely the 0506 one.
And the same one, the same template, but the blue one has the same thing. One season is 02, next season is Fly Emirates because they changed the sponsor.
Correct. Yeah.
Same shirt.
Yeah.
This shirt that I'm going to show you is the second or third kit, the away or third?
This is the away kit from 0708. I think it might have also been the third kit from 0809. I don't.
Yes,
I might have seen that somewhere.
You got it. That one.
So, but no,
that
it
was a tricky question, but
yeah.
I
feel like it was also it was the away kit in 0708, but it also was the third kit in 0809.
Yeah, because those years Nike used second kits for one season and third kits. The same kit was the third of the next season. So that's one of the examples. This one is going to be very easy for you as well because you already mentioned during the podcast.
Yep. Oh, yeah. There you go. 2008 to 2010 home shirt. This is one of the last couple of seasons that Arsenal had. 2 seasons worth of use in for one shirt.
Yeah, and the last one, which is this one, away kit or third kit?
This is the 1920 third kit. Is it third kit? Third kit. Hold on, 1920. No. I'm pretty sure it's the 19. Oh, hold on, no. Was it 2021?
Yes, 2021.
This is 2021. This is 2021.
Yeah,
this is 2021, and that was the third kit because the away kit was the white one.
Yeah, exactly. The one that you were showing me with the other guard, and this one is the away with this like pink. You cannot see it with the light. But everything all the details are pink.
Yeah.
Well, Justin, you are the first guest that actually give me the 100% of the answers in the trivia. So,
oh, really? Well, thank you very much. Man.
Congrats. Well, Justin, we're up to the end of the podcast. It was a pleasure to have you here. Very nice story, very nice collection that you have there in your background. And I know that you have more. You have
yes.
Probably 290 more there.
Yeah.
No, it's a pleasure, to be honest. I feel very lucky to have you here, to have this chat, to actually know you a little bit more about your collection and like you as a person. And you know that you're welcome here all the time.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, no, it's yeah, really lovely to be here. Really good to chat about football shirts here because yeah, I don't have that chance very often. So yeah, I really cherish these opportunities that you have, and also of course it's great being part of the community that that you've helped to foster as well by these podcasts and getting to know each other.
Thank you very much, mate. Just to the people that is watching this video, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for clicking here, for giving a like, the subscription, etc. And we'll see you the next episode. Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Cool. See you later.